Before I begin my report, I want to recognize each of you, as Jason just said, for your continued leadership, your dedication to our union, and your service to our 79,000 members across 42 pilot groups who rely on us every day. The work we do together matters, and it shows in the progress we're making. Whether we're representing pilots in labor negotiations or advocating for safety improvements through ALPA's Air Safety Organization. You're making a difference in the lives of our members. This morning, I'll highlight the key developments on ongoing efforts across all 4 ASO pillars: safety, security, pilot assistance, and jump seat. Let's begin with safety. Over the past several months, we've responded to a number of significant events, continuing our core work of supporting accident investigations and advancing improvements in aviation safety and security. On December 28, 2024, PAL Airlines Flight 2259 suffered damage on landing at Halifax Airport when the left gear collapsed. The left propeller contacted the runway and an engine fire occurred. All 73 passengers and 4 crew members evacuated with no reported injuries. ALPA was granted observer status in their investigation. Representatives from our Accident Investigation Board, or AIB, and Engineering and Air Safety Department provided support to the PAL pilot group and remain engaged as the investigation process continues. Following that, as everybody recalls so vividly, January 29, 2025, PSA Flight 5342 had the horrific mid-air collision with the Army Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac at DCA. All 67 people on board Flight 5342 and the helicopter perished in the accident. ALPA is a party to this investigation. We've provided extensive on-scene and follow-up support through our AIB, the Critical Incident Response Program, and ALPA's Engineering and Air Safety Department staff, ensuring that both technical expertise and pilot welfare remain priorities. Then, on the heels of that, on February 17, 2025, of the PSA accident, we had the Endeavor Flight 4819 impacting the runway during landing in Toronto. The right wing detached and the aircraft overturned on the runway. All 80 people aboard the aircraft evacuated. Of these, 21 sustained injuries. In this investigation, ALPA is serving as an advisor to the National Transportation Safety Board, which is the U.S. accredited representative to TSB, the Transportation Safety Board of Canada's investigation. We've also supported this investigation through CHIRP, the AIB, and ALPA's Engineering and Air Safety and Representation Department resources, and we're working closely with the Endeavor Pilot Group, of course. Last month, ALPA submitted a petition for reconsideration of probable cause in Hawaiian Flight 35. That was the December 18, 2022 flight, which encountered severe turbulence with 291 people on board. 36 passengers and crew members were injured, with 20 taken to the hospital, 11 which were in serious condition. An enormous thank you goes out to all the pilots and staff who provided support after these accidents, doing exemplary work, thinking through many angles, and taking care of the crew as well as the families of the crew members who did not survive. The safety implications of commercial space launches I'll move on to, as they're now a regular concern. The failures of 2 SpaceX Starship launches on January 16 and March 6 highlight the urgent need for better coordination between space operators and the aviation community. We're pressing for a more robust regulatory framework to ensure that our members and passengers are not placed at unnecessary risk by airspace closures and unexpected hazards. We continue to strongly oppose any move toward reduced crew and single pilot operations, as Jason just highlighted. Our Safety Starts With 2 campaign has gained traction across the industry and on Capitol Hill. The recent decision by the European Union Aviation Safety Agency to extend its rulemaking timeline is a positive development and will keep the pressure on. Pilots understand what safety truly means on the flight deck and will not compromise. Turning to security, we're currently engaged with the TSA on the rollout of CMAP, the Crew Member Access Point, which until recently was called Expedited Crew Access, or ECA, and it's slated to replace known crew member. This new program uses biometrics in lieu of IDs and the KCM barcode. Our priority is to preserve the security benefits of KCM while minimizing delays and disruptions to our flight crews. ALPA continues to advocate for strong international action against GPS interference, particularly in regions where jamming and spoofing are affecting our airplanes. We urge the FAA and ICAO to take a more aggressive posture on detection, reporting, and pilot notification protocols. Many of the airlines are doing good work updating their procedures. As you may know, U.S. carriers recently resumed service to Israel. United restarted daily flights to Tel Aviv on March 15th, with a second daily flight added on March 29. Delta resumed flights on April 1. With Sunday's missile strike near the Tel Aviv airport, both United and Delta have paused their operations. Both carriers were able to evacuate their flight crew members on Sunday, a huge improvement since last crises. Delta got crews out on their early Sunday morning flight, and United had all crews out by late Sunday night, having the crew that brought the aircraft in deadhead out along with the remaining crews from the canceled flights. Then, of course, yesterday, we had the Pakistan-India problem. So our security people are doing amazing work with all of this. ALPA's aviation security volunteers continue to assess the ongoing security environment and stay in communication with their airlines, which have the duty of care, the airlines do, to ensure that pilots are protected and operating on routes that are equipped with current actionable risk information. We also have entered into a contract with Everbridge, a worldwide security and intelligence provider, to assist us with information that we can then use to advocate to our airline managements. ALPA continues to strongly support pilot volunteers who serve as federal flight deck officers and advocate for increased funding for this important program. Pilots who take on this responsibility are the last line of defense when it comes to protecting the flight deck from breach in the event of a terrorist attack. The ASO's pilot assistance programs remain a cornerstone of our support to members. We've continued to expand resources, training, and awareness. ALPA strongly opposed a December 2024 FAA proposal that Jason talked about for a policy change on medical certification process when additional information was needed for a medical exam decisions, which would have resulted in a denial letter from the FAA. The FAA has now rescinded that proposal. We're now engaging the FAA and Transport Canada on streamlining the medical exam and certification process to reduce the administrative burden on pilots while preserving the integrity of the system. For example, in the U.S., ALPA is advocating for the development of a medical portal to help pilots better understand exam requirements and track their medical packages in real time, and receive document estimates and alerts through MedExpress, think package tracking, along with simplified plain language guidance in the AME guide. Additionally, efforts are underway to advocate for faster special issuance medical decision processing by increasing FAA medical staff. Progress has been slow, but we are gaining ground. And in Canada, we've launched a dedicated pilot assistance website and successfully secured an extension of the telemedicine exemption, a major win for pilots needing greater flexibility in managing their medical care and fitness assessments. Our wellness initiative, Are You in the Green, continues to help pilots evaluate their physical and mental fitness before each flight. We're expanding outreach and developing resources to better support self-assessment and early intervention. And because this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, we've created messaging to promote awareness so mental health can be viewed as it should be, just like physical health, and let our members know about the resources that we offer to pilots who are struggling with a mental health challenge. More information about this initiative is available at www.alpa.org/green. We also continue to make progress on our previous work with the FAA's Mental Health and Aviation Medical Clearances Aviation Rulemaking Committee, which explored regulatory and industry and policy improvements. For example, the Federal Air Surgeon supports the goal of allowing pilots to participate in talk therapy without requiring disclosure on their medical. While this initiative still needs to make its way to the FAA policy, the movement here is creating a long overdue pathway for pilots to maintain their mental health. The FAA reauthorization established the 411 and 413 working groups, which will continue pursuing the recommendations made by the ARC, and we have 3 pilots assigned to that. Our goal remains clear: make it safe and practical for pilots to seek help without fear of career-ending consequences. And to that end, ALPA strongly supports bipartisan legislation, the Mental Health in Aviation Act, H.R. 2591, which seeks to address these issues to improve the lengthy medical review process. Please join our call to action and urge your representatives in Congress to co-sponsor this important legislation and pass this on to your pilot group. The jump seat remains a critical resource for our members, and our jump seat volunteers have been busy working to ensure the availability of jump seat information. We've recently updated the jump seat flight finder tool with the ALPA app to improve access and usability, and we continue to work with carriers to resolve issues and disputes. Flight finder searches have surpassed 9 million queries since first launched in January of 21. Since November 1 of 24, ALPA has provided training, bless you, to 399 pilot volunteers across all 4 pillars. These offerings include a range of programs designed to prepare pilots to lead, support their peers, and enhance our union's safety culture. Topics include foundational ASO training, safety and accident investigation, peer support, professional standards, and security, among others. We're always looking for good people to support ASO initiatives, so I encourage you to promote these training opportunities to members of your pilot group who have expressed interest in volunteering. You can monitor these training opportunities at alpa.org under News and Events at the top banner, and then Meetings and Training. An additional way to see our training courses and a more extensive list can be found on the ASO website at aso.alpa.org under the Training tab. Planning is well underway for this year's Air Safety Forum, which will take place September 8 through 11 at the Hilton Chicago. We've invited Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy and NTSB Chair Jennifer Hamady to speak. September 8 and 9 will be private working days focused on collaboration among ASO pilot volunteers and staff. The morning of September 10 will feature the ASO Town Hall for all ALPA attendees. And then the public forum will begin on the afternoon of September 10th and continue through September 11th. Jason will lead a State of the Industry panel with leaders from NATCA, the National Air Traffic Controllers Association, the Professional Aviation Safety Specialists, or PASS, and the AFA, the Association of Flight Attendants. We'll close with the ALPA Air Safety Forum Awards Banquet on the evening of September 11th. If last year's Air Safety Forum is any indication, this year will be a big event with lots of attendance. I hope to see many of you there. As ALPA's Political Action Committee Treasurer here in the U.S., I'd also like to provide an update on our efforts to support those in Congress who back legislative and policy priorities that are important to airline pilots. Thanks to your engagement, ALPA PAC remains strong and effective. We continue to support bipartisan, pilot-partisan candidates who protect our careers and safety interests. including fair labor protections and maintaining 2 pilots on the flight deck. We've started this election cycle with strong momentum, already contributing nearly $800,000 to lawmakers who champion our issues, and we've been building new relationships with members of the House and the Senate. And our track record of backing winning candidates is strong. Last November, 95% of ALPA PAC-backed candidates won election. While a few of our champions were unsuccessful in being reelected, including now Secretary of Labor Lori Chavez de Marimer and now Federal Transit Administrator Mark Molinaro, we're quickly building relationships and identifying new ones. For example, newly elected Senator Tim Sheehy from Montana is an aerial firefighting pilot. He's already engaging on reduced crew operations and brought up RCO during Secretary Duffy's confirmation hearing. Representative Rob Bresnahan is a helicopter pilot and intends to be a leader on pilot aeromedical reforms in Congress. These people are amazingly helpful to us. This is a testament to pilot partisan politics. Identify and develop relationships early and future champions. Last year, ALPA PAC raised a record-breaking $3 million, and we're on track to exceed that total this year. We are monitoring economic trends closely. So far, we have not seen any drop in support or notice a decrease in contribution amounts. Should we keep this level of political engagement, ALPA PAC will likely exceed $6 million for the election cycle. Considering that we're a quarter of that a decade ago, ALPA will continue to hit well above its weight class in the political arena, but we can always be better, and a lot better, because our siblings at NADCA, a role model are worthy of aspiring to. NADCA's PAC last election cycle raised $8.2 million with 16,000 eligible members. In comparison, our PAC raised $5.6 million with 64,000 eligible members. Only a quarter of our eligible members contribute to the PAC, whereas nearly 2/3 of NADCA's members contribute annually. Turning the math into English, NADCA raises $3 million more per election cycle with significantly fewer members making less money. Our goal should be to increase our ALPA PAC membership significantly. Introducing the new Banking 1931 Circle level recently has helped in that regard, and some members have been doing even more by contributing the maximum donation allowed by law. I contribute the max, as do 12 other ALPA pilot leaders, some of whom are here today. I'd like to recognize Jason, Bradley Beechler, Ryan Bresnow, Brendan Cantwell, Gareth Carter, Andrew Coyle, Travis Ludwig, Emilio Marcos, Drew Minarsik, Brian Noyes, Nathan Racine, and Chris Sedor. Thank you for supporting ALPA's legislative and political priorities through your max contributions to the ALPA PAC. You embody what it means to be an ALPA leader and pilot partisan. Remember, the younger the pilot is, the more critical it is. There's not much you can do to ruin the career of a pilot nearing retirement, but there's a lot that could harm the careers of pilots with a lot of runway ahead. Please take every opportunity to proliferate the importance of backing the PAC. In Canada, we continue to develop solid relationships with members of Parliament to ensure that ALPA always has a seat at the table in discussions regarding aviation policy and labor protections for airline pilots. We'll continue to grow our engagement programs and adopt our strategy as needed to maintain a strong presence both on Capitol Hill and in the halls of Parliament to ensure that aviation safety, security, and pilots' livelihood are always a priority. Over the past year, ALPA has proudly represented our pilots in key international and industry forums, and Jason touched on that. Last October, members of your ALPA leadership team attended the International Transport Workers Federation Congress, back in the ITF, a big union organization worldwide. In April, I participated in ITS women's and executive committee meetings. I've also represented ALPA recently at the Labor Innovation and Technology Summit and the Women in Aviation Conference. These engagements not only strengthen our alliances as union members and as unionists, but also amplify ALPA's voice in the global conversation regarding transportation and aviation issues. And it's helping with Safety Starts With Two. Before I close, I'd like to flag a few items for discussion by the board this week. The first is a proposed change to Section 85, which would allow for annual awards, but would remove the requirement for them to be particularly awarded, alleviating the problem of having to find a candidate when there aren't any, or possibly degrading the award when there are only a small number of candidates that may not be normally selected. In addition, submissions would be, it can still be awarded, but it doesn't have to be awarded is the change. In addition, submissions would be sent to the National Safety Coordinator instead of the VP of Admin, because Sean really just passes it to me. The rest is just cleanup and streamlining of the language. Another proposal would change ALPA's mission statement so that it explicitly includes the word security to reflect our broad and ongoing commitment to this critical area, security. I look forward to discussing these agenda items as you take them up by the board over the next couple days, and I'm happy to discuss these proposals should you have questions. In closing, I'd like to recognize all the pilot volunteers, staff, and ALPA leaders who make the important ASO, Safety, Security, Pilot Assistance Jump Seat, and the government affairs and legislative work possible. The work that happens behind the scenes through the communications department and everybody throughout ALPA is really amazing. The strength of our union lies in its people, and we're truly fortunate to have the very best people doing this work. And thank you.